man. It is great seeing everybody. Man, what a week. It's been nonstop. But I think the last couple of weeks have been like that, man. I think everybody's going through something, and man, I know looking at everybody's faces and hearing stories throughout the week, everybody's a little tired, a little bit run down. So hopefully tonight's message, man, will be along those lines of, trying to gear us back up. I know sometimes situations overwhelm us, and rightfully so. And but we push through. Even in the most difficult of times, we see God's hand. Even sometimes small and sometimes great, but nonetheless, His hand has never departed. From I know from me, and when you guys share your stories, personally, and in this forum, I know His hand is always upon you, also. So I thank God for that, nonetheless, man. So we muster through tonight. Is choosing the ancient path, and we're going to be the book of Jeremiah. So I'm going to go ahead and do share screen. If you got your Bibles, Jeremiah 6. Wow. Not a lot of hope there, huh? Jeremiah wasn't known for bringing happy words from God. Jeremiah in the Bible is known as a weeping prophet. Jeremiah suffered from depression, anxiety, you know, hence the weeping prophet. But I mean, God really burdened Jeremiah's heart, man. I mean, he was always, you know, it was always gloom and doom when Jeremiah spoke. I mean, that was the kind of guy you don't want to invite over for a party and hang out with, man, because he was just going to bring the mood down real quick. But if you see that text and you apply it today in our lives, well, it just fits right in like a shoe. I mean, when it talks about the priest being, deceiving and lying and people just turning against God and doing what they want to do, and we're seeing that so often today. I mean, as much persecution is happening to the church and so many things that we spoke about it last week, so many things are happening against us as Christians, and nobody's speaking up. And we see here where God is just fed up with the land of Judah. And he's just like saying, you know what, I've had enough of it. I'm just going to hand you over to your enemies. I'm going to, your homes, your wives, get ready for destruction. And I feel that, the Bible is an ever, living book. And it just not, oh, it just happened then, it's not going to happen now. No, it pretty much repeats itself, and it's a future warning for us. So now we stand at a crossroads where we see the same thing that Jeremiah was weeping over, he was crying over. And he says, choose the old ways, look for the ancient path. When you stand at the crossroads, make a decision where you're going to go from here on out. And, and I was thinking about this. I mean, we tend to let go of things of the past, and because, they just didn't work out for us anymore in the future. We try to, new things. And, I remember growing up in church, was more traditional, was more sacred. We had altars, we didn't have stages, we didn't have laser light shows, we didn't have, the modern worship bands, so we tend to shy away from the old ways of our faith and our belief and everything, and tried something new, something a little bit more flashy, and I think we're paying a huge price for it. And I think as men of our homes, we need to just, step back. And that's what Jeremiah is asking. He says, stand at the crossroads and, and look. And he's telling them, go the path of the old ways. Guys, wherever you're at tonight, you got to ask yourself, how did I get here? What brought me to this place? And then when we do an inventory and we look back and we say, well, when I started my walk with God, when I first, my faith first started happening, it's like, when you first met your wife, everything's all, rainbows and cupcakes, and you're calling on the phone, and everything's great. And, you're just, full on fire for the relationship because it's blossoming. And then all of a sudden with time, it starts to fade away a little bit, and you start to lose interest a little bit, and you guys slip away. Nonetheless, you still love one another, but you're starting to disconnect at some point. And God is calling us to come back. He's calling us to go back to the ways how it used to be, how we used to be. If we stray away from the old path and we try to seek a new road, then this is where we're at. We find ourselves, in our anxiety, in our everyday fluster of problems and situations. And basically God had just said, hey, you know what? You did this because you pretty much strayed on your own. I didn't ask you to change the path you were on, but you decided, you were going to go somewhere else where I didn't want you to be. And now we find ourselves in a situation where we're overwhelmed with problems, and we're overwhelmed with anxiety and frustrations, and depression and dark periods in our lives, and situations that honestly just take over us. And then we start, that's where the faith starts to crack a little bit. That's where we start getting that chink in the armor, and we're like, oh man, and we're bogged down. I mean, I know I feel, right now, like I was talking to my wife the other day. I was like, man, there's really no front that we're not facing a battle. There's nothing that we're not facing, a resistance. And I know some of you guys are feeling the same thing. I think we're surrounded, by so many problems and so many situations that are pretty much out of our control right now. And we're saying, I'm getting tired. I'm getting frustrated. What happened? Where did I, veer off the road that I was on, and somehow I got onto this road of this mess? And so, we come to a crossroads, basically, where we got to say, listen, either we really hunker down in our faith and just hold on to it, or we try to deviate from it and try to find something, a quick fix program that's kind of try to stop the bleeding at some point. And it doesn't work. Anything that we do outside of the faith that we hold, we're only going to crash and burn. We're only going to see devastation in our lives. And tonight, each one of us comes here with a lot. I mean, some of us will talk about it here, and some of us won't. Some of you guys will share it with me, and some of you guys will just hold it in. And as men, I think it's harder for us to exhibit, weakness, exhibit anything other than strength. So we hold it in, and we suck it up, and we muster a good faith, and hey, how are things going? Good, man, good. Everything's good. Everything's good. But inside, we're just breaking down. We're just breaking down, and God wants to just reach out and just say, hey, if you go back to the way things were, when you had that first relationship, when things were good on that road, when you were devouring your Bible, when you were praying all the time, when you were just, you were just all up in Jesus's face. Times were good back then. The old ways were good, but now we decided to, hey, we're trying something new in our lives. We're doing a little bit less than what we want to do with him. And all of a sudden things start to collapse. And it's not working out. It's not going the way we planned. And it's difficult. It's difficult for us because we carry the weight of our homes on our shoulders. So, we got to open the door of our homes, and we've got to stare at the face of our wives and stare in the face of our children and just say, what's my next plan? What's my next move from here on out? And as difficult as that is sometimes, that's what Jeremiah was asking, what God was asking Jeremiah. He says, you're standing at the crossroads. What are you going to do? And he told him flat out, seek the ancient path. Seek the path of those that went before you. Those men that, no matter what happened, had the resilience to carry through. In the old path, I would tell you, look at Job. Job lost his wife, his children, his cattle, his fortune in one day. In one day, this man lost everything that he had, everything that he possessed. But not once did he curse God. Not once did he give up the faith. Not once did he question God. At the end, he just said, God gives and God takes. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And that's powerful after you've lost 7 children, you've lost your fortune, and you've lost everything in a matter of 24 hours. It's a difficult situation to say, yeah, God gives and God takes. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Here we are with 1/10 of what Job went through, and yet we find it hard to battle through. I know I'm going through a lot right now. personally with the situation with my father and family and a ton of other things. And it's wearing me down. And it's something that, if we don't get a grip of, it'll tear us up. The more that we wake up every morning and we feel defeated, the more the enemy's got a stronghold over us. And we cannot admit that we're defeated, because we're not. Because God is always with us. God has never abandoned us. God has never forsaken us. No matter how difficult the situation may seem around us, He's always there. He's always there to provide. He's always there to give. He's always there to give wisdom. He's always there to give us strength. But the thing is, we're not seeking the old ways of doing things, where we got down on our face and we prayed earnestly before God, where we sought His face, where we sought His favor. We're trying to do things in a new format where I'll do it myself, or I'll make this happen, or I'll go ahead and take care of the situation. I'll grab the bull by the horns. And that's not what He's asking us. He's asking us, hey, look back, and that way you can see where you're going. There's that quote, and I sent it out yesterday. You don't know where you're going unless you know where you've come from. And we need to know where we've come from. We need to know that we came from sacrifice, from a lineage of men who gave up everything so we can have the faith, so we can hold on to this precious thing that we call our personal faith with God. And we cannot let problems or situations or anything bring us down from that point. Now, it's difficult to smile in the midst of a storm. And it's difficult to smile when you're drowning. And it's difficult to smile when when you open up, you log onto your bank account and it's not looking too pretty. Or you're looking at your physical situation, or you're looking at situations with your children. It's hard, it's difficult. But every man in the Old Testament, from the old path, they all did that. No matter what happened, they clinged on to God. They held on to Him in the storms. They held on to Him in the prisons, and they held on to Him in the palaces. They refused to let go, because they chose the ancient pathway that was carved before them. The great men that carved it before them, and one took it upon him to walk the path of the other. This picture back here that you see right here, let's see if I can get this right. There we go. You see that rut right there? This picture I took in 2006 in Pompeii, in Italy, in the ancient city of Pompeii. And this was a main thoroughfare through the city. And those ruts right there were made by Roman chariots. And so, as I walk through there, I'm like, man, I'm walking through thousands of years of history here. I mean, Roman soldiers marched through this very street. The ruts there were made by Roman chariots from the Roman army. I mean, this pathway led, all roads to Rome. This was a road, that instilled the world, for the Pompeians to go anywhere around the world. So it was laid out by those before them. So just like that road is paved before, the road before us is paved also, but with the blood and the sweat and the tears and the martyrdom of men who went before us and faced the same battles that we face every day. Those men faced strongholds, they faced temptations, they faced tribulation, they faced problems with their wives, they faced problems with children, with disease, with health issues. They questioned their faith, but they held on. They mustered through, because they knew that behind them was going to become a generation of men that was going to look for them for wisdom, that was going to look to see what are they going to do, and we're going to follow in their footsteps. And so we got to ask ourselves tonight, are we at that crossroads? Are we seeking the old path, or are we seeking a new route from God? Are we seeking a path on our own, saying, you know what, God, I chose you at first, but it's not working out, so I'm going to just go out about on my own and try to work things out myself? And we can't do that, man. We can't afford to do it. Because again, look back in your homes, look at your wives, and look at your children, and with the decisions you make tonight and where you lead them, that is the path that they're going to take. They're going to follow you. They're going to follow me. And if we choose a new way of doing things, where God isn't in the center of our equation, where he isn't the center of our lives, where he isn't the stronghold that we need him to be, then just what Jeremiah said, destruction will come upon you. Anger, the wrath of God will come upon you. So I'm asking you tonight, guys, what path are we choosing? Are we choosing the old ancient path that was made by these great men? Are we choosing to make our own destiny? Sometimes the world comes with that wonderful saying, be your own man and choose your own destiny. Make your own roads. Well, that's great. That's great for a motivational poster on in a corporate office. But God is telling us right here, plain and simple, choose the path that's already been laid out for you. Walk in the ways that's already been, sacrificed for you. And if you choose to do that, you're going to choose life. If you choose not to, then you're just choosing death. No matter what you're going through tonight, no matter what you're facing, I am imploring you to dig deep within yourself, to muster strength where you say, Joe, I don't have any strength left to give. I don't got any more faith to pump out. I've pretty much thrown every prayer out there and it's come back unanswered. I've been trying to hear from God and he's not listening. I'm asking you to hold on tonight. I'm asking you not to give up tonight. I'm asking you to push through tonight. I'm asking you to give me one more prayer tonight. I'm asking you to give you one more fight tonight. One more. Don't give up and don't give in. I need you to keep fighting for you and your family. I need you to keep struggling no matter how difficult it is, no matter what adversity you're facing tonight. I need you to choose the ancient pathway that's going to lead you to salvation, that's going to lead you to success, that's going to lead you to life. I need you to walk in that path tonight. We, as a group, need to walk in that path tonight. Not because, it'd be the easy thing to do. Actually, it's the harder thing to do. It's a more difficult path to choose. But if we don't do it, our destruction is imminent. Now, you say, well, bro, it's easy for you to say that you're not in my shoes. You're not dealing with what I'm dealing. And that's a fair statement. You're right. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know how difficult it is. Your situation is your own. But I know how mine is. And that alone will tell you that the struggle isn't just about me. It's about each and every one of us. It's about every man here tonight and every man that'll hear this message, that God has placed in us resistance. Absolutely. Because the path isn't just to walk right through, without any resistance at all. We're going to face it. We're going to face adversity. But are we going to come out stronger on the other end because of it? Yes, we will. We will be stronger for it and we will be better for it. But we need to make that decision. Because if we don't, the problems that are around us, the situations that engulf us will consume us. And they will tear us down piece by piece, worry by worry, depression day by depression day, anxiety after anxiety, fear after fear. And we start losing hope. And when we lose that, we're going to lose everything. And including in that is that nucleus around you, your friends, your family, the people that love you. And once that's destroyed, there's no turning back from that. We are the gatekeepers. It says, I place gatekeepers over you. We are that gatekeeper. We are the only thing that's standing from life and death in our homes. I mean, if that doesn't keep you up at night, then nothing will. Look, the greatest thing about being a man is that we are made in the image of a living God. The most difficult thing about being a man is that we're made in the image of a living God. And he's placed all responsibility on our shoulders. good and bad. He's placed it on our shoulders. We are accountable for our homes, for our families, for our children, and our wives. So every decision that we make affects them. Every time we are weak, then they are weak. And every time we're strong, then they become strong. And if they're not, then we have to be strong for them. We have to be resilient for them. We have to muster through when they can't. We have to push through when they say we can't go any farther. It is on us. It is up to us, the leaders of our homes, to fight for our homes, to take it back, to stand at that crossroads and say, you know what, the ancient path is where I need to go. I need to get back to my roots. I need to get back where my faith was strong at one point. Think back at that one moment in your life when you were so fired up for God that people just said, bro, you're a religious zealot, you're a nut, you went overboard, you're just a fanatic now. Think about that moment in your lives when people said that is because it was consuming you, that God was consuming you so much that that's the only thought in your head. But now people are not saying that now, or your kids aren't seeing that now, or your wife isn't seeing that now, then you've chosen another path and not the ancient pathway. So remember that time that brought you here, the faith that got you to this point. Because at some point in your life, faith brought you to this moment. You just didn't show up here. You just didn't walk and just say, okay, here I am in my walk with Christ. Here I am standing here. No, you went through a path. You took a road to get here, and there was highs and there was lows, and you battled through. So look back at the joys, look back at the good moments that God got you through things, that when he answered those prayers that you thought were never answerable, when he blessed you, when you thought it was impossible, when he guided you, when you felt his spirit upon you all that time. And now that emptiness you feel, or that pain you feel, or that fear you feel, or that anxiety that has replaced what you felt before, take a step back and get back on that road again and just say, you know what, I don't want to be here. I want to be where I was. That's the man who I want to be, because that's the man that people are counting on for me to be. And if we become that man and we walk through that ancient path, God is going to bless you. He's going to bless me. He's going to bless each and every one of us. Why? Because we heeded his word. But if we rebel, then the consequences are dire, and they're pretty much laid out in black and white there. I will give them up to their enemies. I think as a nation, we're being given up to our enemies. We're being consumed by our worst fears, by a moral decay, by society declining. Every day it's something new. But we need to say, you know what? I'm not walking the way the world wants me to walk, and it's new wokeness. I'm going to choose the old ways, the old path. And I'm going to hang on to God, and I'm going to push forward, and I'm going to make this happen for me and my family, whether I go at it alone or I go at it with a group. But I'm going to do it, because if Jeremiah preached it, there's a reason behind it. There's a purpose behind it. That's why it's a prophetic word. It's not, hey, take it if you like it, sound advice, if you don't, whatever. No, it's a prophetic word from God. It is God speaking to his people. And as he spoke to Jeremiah then, he's speaking to us today. Stand at the crossroads, ask which way is the ancient path, and walk through it. Walk through it for your sake, for your family's sake, for my sake, for your brother's sake, for all of our sake. Walk through it, guys. Walk through. Guys, that's all I got, man. Floor is yours tonight.